Ladies and gentlemen, you're highly welcome to the Dicalo Consulting YouTube channel. In this session, we're going to be analyzing this press release which we have just received from Orange Cameroon. Orange Cameroon is one of the main giant companies in the telecommunication companies in the Cameroonian market. As a matter of concern, we realize that many changes have been taking place in the Cameroonian telecom industry as well as in the banking industry. So at the moment on my table, we have just received this press release which has been issued by Orange Cameroon SA, and we're trying to analyze and look at the impact of these new developments in the Cameroon telecommunication industry and the impact that this is going to have in the banking industry. You understand that in the past, when we had an innovative strategy or an innovative approach which was actually introduced by the telecom industry in the banking industry, which was what we refer to as the mobile money services, we realized that it had a very negative impact on the money transfer agencies and cooperative societies within the Cameroonian market. So we have just obtained a new press release from Orange Cameroon, and I will first of all start by reading this press release which has been issued by Orange Cameroon, and then from there we're going to look at analysis. We're going to analyze and look at the impact, both positive and negative, that this press release which has been issued by Orange Cameroon, the consequences of these on Orange Cameroon, on the Cameroon telecommunication industry, as well as the immediate and long-term consequences of this move by Orange Cameroon on the Cameroonian banking industry. To have an overview, let me just give an overview. You understand that normally at the moment the Cameroonian banking system is very weak because most of the banks operate on a traditional model, and they really have not been embracing changes that are taking place in AI and in technology, and as a result of that, most of them have been operating on the traditional basis. So we're going to be looking at how the impact of this press release is going to affect the current and future nature of the Cameroonian telecom industry as well as the banking industry. So let me read this press release. You can see this letter is from Orange Cameroon with their colors, and then you can see press release. Orange Cameroon SA informs the public that by decree number 000372 mean fee of May 5, 2022, notified on July 5, 2022, its subsidiary Orange Money Cameroon SA become the very first payment institution in Cameroon. Okay. As such, Orange Money Cameroon SA is authorized to independently provide payment services such as deposits, transfers, and withdrawals of money, airtime, and bundled purchases, bills payments, salaries, taxes and duties, fundraising and remittances, and receiving international money transfers. Obtaining this approval marks a new milestone in the development of Orange Money as a major player in financial inclusion for more than a decade and as the leader of mobile payment in Cameroon. We really cannot say they are main leaders, but given that the current telecom industry in Cameroon is very competitive, they will certainly say they are the leaders. From my point of view, maybe it's somebody like MTN, but let's continue the press release. Orange Cameroon, Orange Money Cameroon SA will offer ever more innovative, secure, and simple solutions throughout Cameroon. Orange Money Cameroon SA has over 10 million accounts opened, more than 100,000 business partners, with approximately 200,000 direct and indirect jobs created. With a new status and the same commitment, all Orange Money services remain available through the usual channels. In essence, basically what we are reading from this press release is that Orange Cameroon SA, through its wholly owned subsidiary, which is Orange Money Cameroon SA has become the first company or the first telecom giant in Cameroon to obtain a payment institution license in Cameroon. And like I've said, they are authorized to carry out the following services, which means that they are authorized to accept deposits from clients. They are allowed to do transfers of funds. They are allowed to do withdrawals of funds, and then they are equally allowed to actually do the purchase and sales of airtime and bundle purchases. You understand that the principal activities of telecom companies is that they should sell airtime and bundle or data or bundle services to their clients at very affordable prices. Yeah, those are some keywords which I want us to underline in this press release. The main purpose of Orange Cameroon SA operating in the Cameroonian market should be to sell airtime and bundle or data bundles at affordable prices. And bet to me you accept that currently the current nature of our Cameroonian market, the airtime and bundle services are not so very innovative. Why do I say they're not innovative? Because the data and the bundles in Cameroon are very expensive. So to me, seeing this type of press release where Orange Cameroon SA is diverting away from their core business, which is to sell airtime and bundle or data services to clients at the cheap and at affordable prices, to a completely new industry where they have identified that there are some voids and they want to take advantage of the voids which are existing within the Cameroonian banking industry in their interest or to maximize the value of their shareholders. To me, I completely think this is a wrong ideology. Why? Because normally, first of all, Orange Cameroon SA and other competitors in the telecommunication industry have not been innovative enough. Why am I saying that they have not been innovative enough? They have not been innovative enough because of the fact that despite the fact that there are 3 or 4 players in this industry, the rates of airtime and bundle charges are still very high. A majority of Cameroonians do not have internet today because of the fact that the airtime or the data bundles which are sold by the telecom giants are just too high. The rates are just too high. For instance, the average cost of a bundle of data, the average cost of a 1 GB data in Sudan cost $0.25. Let me come again. The average cost of a bundle of data, of 1 GB data in Sudan costs $0.27. But in Cameroon, the average cost of 1 GB data bundle costs $3.39. Look at the difference. If you look at these two situations, you realize that as far as bundle or usage is concerned, it's far more expensive in Cameroon as compared to Sudan. So why are our telecom companies not focused on trying to be innovative and how they can be innovative on their core business activities, so that this can lead to a drop in their operating cost, so that the prices that they're charging to consumers or to customers will be less? My opinion is that Orange Cameroon SA and other telecommunication giants should focus on working on innovative ways or on strategizing on how they can cut down on the rates of their airtime as well as on the rates of their bundle services to clients. For instance, I've given an example in my earlier presentation here that Orange Cameroon or that telecommunication companies in Cameroon are currently charging $3.39 per 1 GB of data, bundle of data. But the same bundle, 1 GB bundle of data in a country like Sudan costs just $0.27. That's a remarkable difference there. So telecommunication companies in Cameroon If they think they are innovative enough, then they should first of all try to see how they can be innovative in their core business activity. Because the main reason why they entered the Cameroonian market was to sell airtime and bundle services to the clients. They have not been able to fully utilize the potentials or the innovative or strategic nature of that industry, but because of the fact that they have realized that there are some industrial voids within the banking industry, they automatically jump there to take advantage of the opportunity. But like I've explained, we understand that Cameroonian banks are not innovative enough. They are fully operating on traditional models. Having an ATM or a debit card or in Cameroon with this Cameroonian local banks is like a big deal, but they still operate on very traditional basis, and these are some of the reasons why companies like Orange Cameroon are trying to take advantage of the situation. Online banking it's becoming a norm in the world, where all banks know that it's been normal that customers want to have access to the online account. People want to convenience so that they can conveniently operate with their banks without passing through third parties in order to carry out their business transactions, both at the level of corporate and individual levels. But that is still something that Cameroonian banks have not seen that it's very important to customers. Now, one thing is, I want us to look at the consequences of such a move by Orange Cameroon SA, where they completely create a subsidiary, and the main purpose of this subsidiary is to operate like a financial institution. And like I've said, it's obvious that the Cameroonian telecom industry is very competitive. We have Orange Cameroon, which is there. We have MTN Cameroon, and we have Nextel. So normally in a very competitive industry like this, when Orange Cameroon takes this type of a move, we are expecting within a month or 2 or 3 for MTN to follow suit. That's something we cannot argue, because they are rivals, they are industry rivals, and what your competitor do in order to stand in the market or in order to equally have a competitive advantage is that you have to follow suit. Now, before we look at analysis, before we properly analyze this letter and the consequences of this press release on the Cameroonian banking industry, let's first of all look at one service which was introduced by MTN Cameroon. MTN Cameroon is one of the main leading telecom companies in Cameroon, and prior to the introduction of this service by MTN Cameroon, we had what we call money transfer agencies and credit unions, which were actually creating a lot of employment opportunities for the youths and the Cameroonian people. Now we see MTN Cameroon, like I've explained, it's not like MTN Cameroon or Orange Cameroon is far better, or that they have been able to properly take advantage of or do a lot of innovation or creativity and strategization to be able to sell affordable and affordable airtime and bundle to their clients. Since they realized that there was an industrial void at that level, again, why we put the blame on the local money transfer agencies and corporate trade societies or credit unions, who were not innovative enough to be able to see how they can improve on the client satisfaction and then convenience of the clients. MTN Cameroon took an advantage and introduced a service which they call mobile money services. Now, with these mobile money services, people could conveniently now do transfers and receiving of funds through their phones. You understand that this is a service which was actually creating a lot of jobs, and to me, the sector, the mobile transfer, the money transfer sector industry and credit union industry at that level was well regulated, because if you had to transfer money from one party to another or from one part of the country to another, these local transfer agencies had some proper internal controls, so some proper procedures where they had to independently check and to be sure that you actually have the right to know the purpose of the funds and whether you actually whether you're obtaining these funds from legitimate sources or things like that. And at that level, these funds could be traced. Hadn't been you transfer funds to, let's say, to somebody who was not the intended recipient of the money, With this system, it was very easy for you to have to initiate a recall with the agency to say, oh, I'm sorry, these funds I wanted to make this transfer to A or B, and then mistakenly I made the transfer to C or D. At that level, it was very easy for the person initiating the transfer to approach the money transfer agency to request for a recall, or maybe to make an amendment on the recipient of the funds. But like I said, why this actually gives some sort of a competitive advantage for the companies that were actually operating in this industry, we must accept that there were so many industrial voids within the sector, because people had to go and queue. One of the main challenges was that there were a lot of delays, and people had to queue the line for a long time to be able to maybe initiate the transfer or to receive funds which have been sent from an independent location. And equally, it was very expensive to a certain extent. It was expensive in initiating a transfer from one part of the country to the other. Now look at MTN looking at these voids of the cost and the convenience, given that people had to queue the line for a long time to be able to receive their funds or to be able to send funds, and the fact that it was expensive. MTN Cameroon now came with this mobile money service, and their focus was how they could actually solve this aspect of the convenience, how they could make customers conveniently do money transfers at the comfort of their homes, and at the same time at a low rate or at a low cost, which was far lower than what the money transfer agencies were actually offering. And so, as a result of the introduction of this mobile money service by MTN Cameroon, it completely shaking the money transfer agencies within the Cameroonian market, and most of them were out of the market. And the main players that were there, who are maybe still existing today, like Express Union, I think lose about, let's say, 90% of their revenue, and sack about, let's say, 90% of their employees. Credit unions equally started facing a lot of difficulties because people were no longer willing to save their funds or do transactions with them. As a result of that, credit unions, which were one of the traditional employers, creating a lot of employment opportunities in the Cameroonian market, especially in the Anglophone area, equally started losing a lot of business. And as a result of that, many credit unions equally were out of the market. Like I've said, okay, now you see that MTN Cameroon, which is a telecom company, which has not been innovative enough to be able to provide affordable data bundles and airtime to its customers, completely divert away from their main vision, from their main purpose, while they actually enter the Cameroonian market to engage into money transfer agencies. Now, my problem is this: if you look at the consequences of such a move, given that MTN Cameroon is not a Cameroonian company, it's a company which is actually owned in subsidiary, it's a multinational. You look at the impact of MTN Cameroon introducing that particular service on local companies that are actually engaged in money transfer services within the Cameroonian market. To the best of my knowledge, I would think that the Cameroonian government was not supposed to have granted such a license. Yeah, we understand that at the end of the day, it was an innovative strategy which was able to solve the convenience aspect of it and the cost nature of it at the level of the customers or at the level of the users of these mobile money transfer services. But at the same time, it had negative consequences on the Cameroonian economy. First of all, many people lost their jobs who were working with these well-regulated money transfer agencies, who were actually paying a lot of taxes to the government or things like that. That's the first thing. The second thing is that, okay, the introduction of this service, most of the funds or the profit that will be generated from this activity will be repatriated to South Africa, to the main shareholders of the company. Initially, in the previous case where these local mobile transfer money companies were actually engaged in this activity, the profits that were actually made were reinvested within the country, and we realized that main players like Express Union had a lot of branches all over the country. They were spread everywhere and created a lot of jobs. Not to talk of other players that were in the market. We must say that they were doing a good job, and like I've said, the recall option was there. But now look at MTN Cameroon bringing a new service saying, oh, we want to offer convenience at a low and affordable cost. You can sit at the home and make a transfer. We don't care where you're sending the money. We don't care to whom you're sending the money. But the most important thing is that you can actually make transfers from our service. And the worst thing with this service is that there's no recall. Remember, I explained that in the previous system of where we actually do money transfers using local money transfer agencies, there was a recall. There were possibilities of recall, where if you have initiated a transfer to the wrong party, then it's easy for you to be able to initiate a recall with the company or with the branch where you actually initiated a transaction, and the transaction will be recalled. Maybe you will automatically terminate the transaction, or you recall, or you make some amendments. But at the level of MTN mobile money services, once you initiate a transaction or a transfer to a third party who is not your intended recipient, there are no possibilities of you making any recall. It now remains on the mercy, on the consciousness of the recipient of the funds to decide whether they want to make a refund or not, which to me is a very big weakness, and many Cameroonians have lost a lot of money through this procedure. So as a result of this, I thought that I can say that the introduction of mobile money services, and again I must say this, with the introduction of the mobile money services equally, it became very difficult for the government to be able to properly regulate the transfer and receiving of funds from the various citizens within the country, and it made it very easy for criminals to be able to carry out their criminal activities, because it was very easy for them to obtain funds. It's very easy for them to obtain funds from their victims. But at the level of where we had local money transfer agencies, this was very difficult to achieve, if not impossible. And because of this, the rate of kidnapping for ransom has increased within the country, because criminals know that they can easily get these funds through mobile money services. Okay, now let us come now to our subject of the day, which is this press release which Orange Cameroon SA has issued to the public, informing them now that they can operate now as a full bank. They even pay salaries. They even initiate the payment of salaries. Now we understand that principally Cameroonian, these are the main sources of funding that most Cameroonian local banks get. Most of them get their funds from deposits, from paying of bills, from salary transfers, from granting loans or things like that. And you see MTN Cameroon, which is a telecom company, being authorized to come and do these same services and to compete with them. We all understand that Orange Cameroon is not a Cameroonian based company. Yeah, it is not a Cameroonian based company. MTN Cameroon is not a Cameroonian based company. So why do we really think that it's important for us to give this type of licenses to multinational companies to come and compete with local companies who do not have the capabilities and the core competencies to be able to compete with companies of such a nature? I must say this, we must acknowledge the fact that there will be future negative consequences of all these decisions that have been made by the authorities in charge. First of all, we must accept that Orange Cameroon and MTN Cameroon and other telecom giants in Cameroon are multinational companies who actually benefit from a lot of economic scale because of their investment in technology or in artificial intelligence or things like that, which is actually what most Cameroonian local banks, or what the Cameroonian banking industry, most local banks do not have such an advantage. And if we are introducing big multinational companies who have a lot of capital to compete with local companies, then we should expect that in a year or 2 or 3 or 4, then we should expect that the Cameroonian banking industry should collapse. Many banks within the industry are going to collapse, and many Cameroonians are going to lose their jobs. And again, we must understand that in a situation where all these companies are owned by, these banks are owned by Cameroonians to a certain extent, or all the profits that are generated from there remain within the Cameroonian market, and then they are reinvested into Cameroon. But now that these profits will be enjoyed by Orange Cameroon and maybe the other telecom giants who are equally going to invest and who are going to get the same license, most of the profits now be repatriated abroad. So basically, my suggestion or my recommendations to the authorities that have made this decision to be able to grant this license to the to MTN Cameroon, to Orange Cameroon, is that they need to take a more strategic look. They need to evaluate the consequences of taking this type of a decision on the banking industry, on the future, on the present and future nature of the Cameroonian banking industry. Like I've said, honestly, we cannot say that Orange Cameroon and MTN Cameroon have been innovative enough in their own domain of business. Their domain of business is to sell airtime and provide affordable data bundles to Cameroonians. But like I've explained here, their airtime and data bundles are very expensive, which makes it very difficult for Cameroonians to be able to or have access to the internet, or for Cameroonians to be able to call their people abroad or across the continent. So why do we think that giving them an opportunity to diversify into something which is completely new, what they have never done, will enable them to do better in their current activities within the Cameroonian market? I will suggest and recommend that licenses like these being granted to MTN Cameroon, to Orange Cameroon, and like I said, it's obvious that MTN Cameroon is going to follow. MTN Cameroon is going to follow suit to get the same license. They're going to have very negative consequences on the Cameroonian banking system, because like I've said, the credit unions or the local banks do not have the huge amount of financial resources to be able to compete with global industry players like these. And if we actually allow this to go ahead, then these banks and financial institutions are going to face a lot of challenges in the future. So I am recommending that licenses like this should be revoked, and the government should not even think of granting this type of licenses again to telecom companies. Because what is happening is that telecom companies or telecom giants in Cameroon have not been able to fully utilize their potentials in the interest of the consumers or the customers, but rather they keep on trying to pivot from their core business activity within the Cameroonian market, which, from the best of my knowledge, they are not doing well in it, to take advantage in other industries which are not their core business activities. If you take for an example, do you know in the United Arab Emirates or in many countries within the Middle East, telecom companies are not allowed to engage in money transfer services or in banking activities? Do you think that Cameroonian banks or Cameroonian telecom giants are more innovative than these global multinationals operating within the Middle East and other parts of the world? No. So like I've said, why is it that countries like in the Middle East, big countries which are economies that are doing very well, have not been able to embrace that aspect of allowing telecom giants to diversify into the banking industry? Because they understand the consequences of doing that. The consequences of doing that means that you want to lead to the collapse of many banks. You want to lead to the loss of jobs by many bankers. Why? Because these banks do not have the enough funds to be able to innovate and compete with these telecom giants. The Cameroonian authorities who have granted this license to Orange Cameroon through its solely owned subsidiary should have a more critical and strategic look into their decision. Because I think while this is going to be like an innovation, while this is maybe going to lead to client satisfaction or things like that, the number of jobs and the spillover effects of what they are promising here, I really don't think these will actually result to any direct benefits to the Cameroonian market. You understand that one of the main industries that control every country is the banking industry, is the financial sector. So if we are going to outsource, or if you're going to give a license to a telecom giant to be a major player who is equally not a local company, it's a foreign owned entity, it's a foreign owned subsidiary, where at the end of the day all the profits that will be realized will be repatriated, then I think this is not a strategic move from the point of view of those who have actually granted this license. And I would suggest that they should take a critical look again in their decision to grant this license to Orange Cameroon SA, because we are still suffering the consequences of what mobile money has brought to us. While we have said it's obvious that we have the conveniences there, and equally it's cheaper, but I think from a government point of view, those are not the only issues that should be taken into consideration. We equally understand that the rate of crime have increased, because criminals now know that it's easy for them to receive funds from their victims, which are things which were completely absent in those days when there was no mobile money. So like I've said, from our point of view in Dicalo Consulting, we are of the opinion that telecom companies or telecom giants like Orange Cameroon should focus on innovation, innovating their strategies that will help them in improving on their services or providing airtime and data bundles in Cameroon at low and affordable prices. Like I've said, at the moment, the airtime rates and the bundle rates are not affordable as compared to some countries like Sudan. I've given an example where we know that the average 1 gigabyte of data in Sudan cost $0.27, and in Cameroon it costs $3.39. So what can Cameroonian telecom companies, what can they justify? What is the reason for this? I think the principal reason for this is that they are not innovative enough, and what they need to do is they need to re-strategize and imply all this innovation and creativity that they have. All their core competencies and core resources should be focused on how they can satisfy the Cameroonian markets with a low and affordable rates for airtime and data bundles. That's the first session. We'll be coming again to analyze and look at the future consequences of such a move on the Cameroonian banking industry, on the level of employment, on the level of unemployment, at the level of economic growth, and equally looking at how this is going to affect existing giants in the banking industry in Cameroon, and equally trying to see how we can analyze the impact of such a divergent or such of a pivoting from airtime and data bundles by a main telecom giant into the financial industry. We're equally going to look at what consumers should be expecting from Orange Cameroon in the future. It was a pleasure. Thanks once more. And we're calling on you to kindly subscribe to the YouTube channel of the Dicalo Consulting website, because we'll be analyzing many issues that are affecting the global economy and giving our opinion on what we think. And we equally appreciate if you have the opportunity to equally make a comment on our session, on our comment section, to be able to react and equally share your opinion on what you think about this press release, which has been issued by Orange Cameroon SA, which is a French-owned multinational telecom company operating within the Cameroonian market. So we'll be happy to get your opinion, and we'll call on you to subscribe to our channel so that you'll be able to get any updates on any issue that we will discuss at the level of the Dicalo Consulting Group. We are a management consultancy firm. We offer recruitment services. We help companies in designing management and business strategies. We have in bookkeeping, virtual bookkeeping. We can be a virtual bookkeeper, which means that you don't need to have an accountant. All you need to do is to engage us, and then we'll advise you on how we can keep your books for you at a very low and affordable rate. We equally do a VAT declaration, CMPS declaration, and we equally file annual returns. So if you are in any of these services, do not hesitate to contact us at Dicalo Consulting. We are a registered Cameroonian firm with our corporate accounts with the EcoBank, and we must initiate that Dicalo Consulting does not receive cash transactions. All transactions with Dicalo Consulting are conducted through our global banks, or our banking through our bank. So do not send cash to anybody who is requesting or trying to bail you from Dicalo Consulting and requesting you to make a cash purchase or a cash transaction. We do not do cash transactions. All transactions are done at the level of our banks. If you want to get more information on how the Dicalo consulting firm can assist you, maybe at the level of business strategy formulation or design, or at the level of cost management, we enable you to compute your cost and then help you on how you can reduce your cost, like I've explained. And equally, we can design your business strategy where we try to evaluate your current business operations and identify areas where we think that there are issues or challenges, and then we address them in the best interest of your company. We equally help in pricing, where we try as much as possible to make sure that we ascertain the real cost of your product, and then from there we're able to ascertain the price that you can equally charge to your clients, to make sure that you are not under or overcharging your clients, so that you're able to charge a competitive price that will enable you to be able to take advantage or compete with other competitors within the market. Thanks once more for watching our video. Have a nice day.